What's your take on the Kyler Murray situation in Arizona of a player scrubbing his Instagram, Cardinals kind of playing back this tit for tat? What's your take on this as someone who ran a team?
Well, for one of the first people that I thought of when I saw all of that going on was Herm Edwards, who would just say, "Don't hit send." And I realized in this instance it wasn't hitting send, but it was scrubbing accounts, deleting things. The point being, take a moment, think about what you're going to do on social media, whether it's by commission, writing something, or omission, deleting someone. Be careful. Take a deep breath, because all of that is picked up upon and it resonates. And look, we don't know what the future is going to be for Kyler and for the Cardinals. I have thoughts on that as well, but I would just say to anyone, and this includes everyone in my village, real life, Twitter, otherwise, be judicious in what you do on social media, because it resonates, and it can resonate in a manner in which you don't intend it to resonate, or maybe you do intend it to resonate, but you really shouldn't.
So what are your thoughts then?
Well, my thoughts are, as to the team, they've got to ask and do what? Whenever I hear of a team that is thinking of moving on for a quarterback.
Thank you, Amy.
I'm not suggesting that Arizona is thinking about that, but should Arizona think about that? Should Green Bay be considering that with respect to Aaron? And we all know it's being considered in any number of ways. Should any team ever be considering moving on from a player? You've got to ask yourself the question, and do what? And if you don't have an answer to that, or the answer you come up with is not at a minimum as good as, but hopefully better than the status quo, then what are you doing? Throughout my years in the league, I would hear from fans, you should get rid of this quarterback. By the way, as if that was my choice. There's this guy named Al Davis. You might want to talk to him. But, anytime I would hear a fan say, you need to get rid of this player, you need to get rid of this coach, and do what? You've got to have a plan. Look, I had a terrible, terrible incident on a horse many, many years ago. And the reason I raised that is when everything got resolved and I was fine and the horse was fine and everything was, calmed down, someone looked at me and said, Amy, you have to have a plan. Mm-hmm. And she was right. She was also 8 years old at the time. But, we really do need to listen to 8-year-olds more. But my point is, you got to have a plan. You can't just say, I'm going to move on from a quarterback without asking and answering and do what. And as far as Kyler goes, he needs to also recognize that while a player may sometimes think the grass is greener elsewhere, it may not be. Maybe it will be, but it's not always greener elsewhere.
I mean, isn't that what we're seeing right now playing out in front of our eyes with Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay and possibly Denver and myriad other quarterbacks out there that are seeing the grass and thinking, does it look lush or does it look greener?
Is that wild to you, Amy, that there are this many franchise-level quarterbacks that are being moved around? It's so different than the way that it used to be.
It is different, and of course it's because the structure of the collective bargaining agreement is different. The world is different. But you're absolutely right. It is very, very different in many regards. And I think I've stopped being surprised. And I say that, and, an hour from now something will surprise me. But, there is a lot of movement, more than there used to be, and it's not always beneficial to the team or to the player. I think there's more movement than there sometimes need be. As to Aaron Rodgers, I've said it on air, I'll say it again now, I wouldn't be stunned to see him stay in Green Bay. We hear all of this every year. Where's he going? Is it Denver? Is it here? Is it there? I wouldn't be surprised if it's remaining in Green Bay.
Well, they brought in his quarterbacks coach for a reason, right? They brought him back to work with him.
Well, and he loves Matt LaFleur. Those two are, like after their initial, I think, thing where, he's like, well, no, I'm going to audible. And Matt's like, that's not what we do. And he's like, well, that's kind of what I do. And I've been around for a while. Like, they really do have a close and tight relationship. So that's interesting. Now, I have no idea what was said after the whole thing that occurred last year, if there was a backroom deal made that I'll do another year or how it went. We don't know that. And that's what you learn being on this side of the equation, is what people think they know and what's actually true. Right, Amy? It's like the iceberg effect. It's like people only know 10%. They don't know the 90% that's going on behind the scenes. So we don't know what was agreed to. Do you think that they should have told him that they were going to draft Jordan Love?
Oh, I absolutely do. But I want to say first that I wish I could jump through this phone line right now and throw my arms around you and give you a hug and toast you with a mimosa. You know, the one that didn't get delivered to me?
I'll drink one for you.
That's our bad, Amy. I'm sorry.
It's actually Chris Brockman's bad, personally, but that's really me. I don't want to blame him.
You just said that which so many others really most don't acknowledge, which is we don't know everything. And I love you I love you for a lot of reasons, but for doing that, for stating that, which is, you know, a lot of times people are offering this view and that view, but they need to say going in that which you just said, which is we don't have all the facts. We don't have all the information. So we're trying to gather as much as we can and make informed decisions without all the information. As to the Jordan Love question, absolutely, positively. When the Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes, they picked up the phone and they called Alex Smith ahead of time and said, look, we just want you to hear this from us directly. This is what we're planning to do in the draft. If he's available to us, this is what we want to do. And they had the respect for him and the collaboration with him to let him know ahead of time. And you know what? When they won the Super Bowl, the first or one of the first people that Patrick thanked was Alex Smith for being the teammate and the mentor he was and for helping him in every way he could. And it is my view that the Chiefs created the environment. I'm not suggesting Alex wouldn't have done so otherwise. By all accounts, he would have done so for anyone. But the Chiefs cultivated that environment of cooperation and collaboration. There is absolutely no reason in the world why Aaron needed to learn that with the rest of everybody on television.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.